Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of State of Survival with Sticky Fang Gaming. And today we're just gonna talk a little bit. I have some video footage from the last water raid, even though it's coming up again this weekend. I didn't get to record all of it just because it was so one-sided, and yeah, I didn't record all of it. But we're gonna show that video coverage, and then I'm gonna talk about what it's like to have been playing State of Survival for more than 700 days. So as you can see here in the screen, I have the proof, 700 consecutive days logged on. That actually was about 12 days ago. So I'm at about 712 days. And I'm just gonna talk about the differences that I've noticed from playing day one and then playing now. So we'll go and start the Reservoir Raid video here until you guys can enjoy that while I just kind of ramble. But in the beginning of playing State of Survival, things were a lot different. I want to say I started back in August 2019. And back then, the heroes were just, Maddie, Sarge, uh, can't even think of them, they're so old. But with the heroes, you could actually use all three heroes of the same type in a march. So a lot of people back in those days would just put three hunter heroes into one march and just have OP hunter stats, and everything else would just be non-existent, and you would just wreck people. No one could really stop it. Whether they had all infantry heroes, you just couldn't do anything just because the hunter's attack was just so strong back in those days. So they changed that up a lot. And nowadays it's kind of the same because if you have a strong infantry stat, you pretty much can wreck any march. A lot of people that I've noticed have been doing like 60% or 70% infantry in their marches, boosting their infantry stats, and then just filling up, rallies with that. And that's pretty much how the gameplay is right now. Is really unbalanced in my opinion because infantry is so like overpowered and used so much. I'm hoping that they come out with an update in the future where riders are used a little bit more because riders right now are pretty much the most useless troops in the game. A lot of people don't really care about their rider stats. It's one of those things that you work on last. The rider heroes aren't really a high priority. It's like if you get it, cool. You'll level up as much as you can with it, but it's not something that you're going to be spending all your effort on trying to level up and boost. And same thing with me. Like right now, as a P5, trying to work on T11 because I've been not really focusing on State of Survival too much. Now I'm back into it and I'm trying to boost my infantry stats. Riders not really a priority. Hunters is like, and hunters are pretty important too because they still do a lot of damage. But yeah, that's something that's a lot different. The events have changed a lot. Back in those days, you had plague zones where everyone in the entire state had to work together to destroy all the plague zones, and that's how you were able to get your first capital clash. So in the beginning, it wasn't like clearing a bunch of missions and then waiting a certain time to get your first capital clash. In the beginning, it was your whole state had to work together to beat four mega bosses, and then the capital was like a super crazy, massive, crazy boss. Like it was just insane. And I remember the first couple months of playing, every day people would just be spending hours and hours just attacking these mega bosses, trying to kill them slowly, and it would take months to kill one. So it was kind of frustrating because now Capital Clash, I believe in new states you get it in like the first month or so, maybe month and a half. But in the beginning, like it would take 3-4 months, maybe even more, just to beat the giant boss to get your first Capital Clash. And that's something they changed pretty early on. I think they changed that probably in the beginning of 2020. So yeah, that was different. I remember when Water Raid first came out, that was a huge deal because that was one of the first PvP type of events that we had. I believe that came out prior to the State Warfare. I think that came out way before State Warfare. So that was what got people really happy. They got people really competitive. You no longer had to just do in-state fighting and stuff and kill your own state all the time. It would bring people together to, fight other enemies. So way back in the day, it was like we didn't have water raid or state warfare, so we had a lot of wars with ourselves. And if you look at some of my older videos, a lot of it was like my alliance getting attacked by another alliance and trying to defend them off, or my alliance attacking another alliance, or just testing out with friends within the state. There wasn't a whole lot to do but build, have internal conflict, and kill each other off. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why a lot of these older states, like State 11, the one that I'm in, are dead, is because we had so many big wars in the beginning. It really just made people quit left and right, especially after about a year. That's when we noticed a giant exodus from the game. We lost a lot of our biggest people like Nimki, Night Fury, Mario, Demo. We just lost a lot of people. Shout out to you guys if you're watching these videos. What else? There was just not a whole lot happening back in those days. HQ30 was king, so it wasn't hard to max out and get to HQ30 back in those days. I think I did it in 3 months, but it was hard to get gear because you didn't have packs that you do nowadays where they give you so many materials for gear and stuff. You had to only get the very basic packs. So a lot of us were sitting on purple gear for a long time, and if you had orange gear, you were king. So my purple gear had it did its job back in those days, but yeah, if you had orange gear, you weren't getting touched. Most people had green gear, or blue gear. It was just very different. And nowadays you have the red gear that's 3 stars and multiple levels, and you need these crazy amount of materials to craft them, which are easy to get with packs, but it's pretty much, if you're a free-to-play player or a low spender, it's going to take you a long time to get those gears, especially if you're starting brand new in some new state like 900 plus and you're a free-to-play player. Good luck to you, because just getting blue gear, green gear, purple gear, orange gear, that's going to take a giant effort. There's a lot. And over these last 700 days, I will say that I've had a lot of fun, but there's been a lot of times where I've looked and been like, man, the game has changed so much. I'm not really sure how it's going to work in the future, especially with the new features that are dropping, like the state transfer, where you don't really get to transfer unless you stop playing for 60 days. They are talking about state migrations, but haven't really heard too much about that. That's supposed to come out in October. There's just a lot going on. New heroes are obviously going to come out again in a couple months, so it makes it like, well, why do I keep getting these heroes that they release? If they're just going to drop new ones in a few months, might as well wait for those newer ones. You have P8 that's out right now. You already know they're going to go to P10, and that's going to probably have T12s come out. It's just a never-ending cycle, and it's hard. It's hard to play this kind of game because you want to play for fun, you want to play for friends, but in my state with maybe 30 people maybe playing the game on a regular basis, it makes it hard to want to play. So if you guys are in very healthy states with hundreds of people and you guys have a lot of activeness and are having a good time, great. I'm happy, because that's what the game is for. But for a lot of us in these older states, we really would like more chances to play with other people. So developers, if you're watching this, please come out with a really good plan for state mergers, because we want to enjoy the game too. Reward the people who've been playing for 700 plus days loyally, maybe not, doing our daily tasks like we're supposed to do every day, but at least we've logged on for 700 plus days. And all we want is just more people to play with. We want to be able to enjoy the game more. And so, yeah, that has been my experience so far with State of Survival for over 700 days. For the water raid video that you guys just watched, we lost pretty badly. Those guys whooped us. The matching was just terrible, kind of. They had multiple guys at P8, guys with 1100% stats maxed out, and we don't have anybody maxed out because there's no reason to. We don't really have a whole lot of competition in our state. Our state warfare competition isn't giving us a reason to max out or anything like that. They're dead states just like we are. But yeah, I kind of rambled on a bit here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. More videos coming very soon. Don't know what I'll talk about, but I'll see you when I see you. And until next time, this has been another episode of State of Survival with Sticky Fang Gaming.